likes to sing and dance like anything. And he likes Kṛṣṇa bhakti. He likes the Kṛṣṇa bhaktas at least. Nice man. Very enthusiastic. Some of you were not here at the very beginning when Kelly Mataji, who's standing back here, was very clearly, eloquently expressing the purpose of this festival. And for those of you that didn't hear it, I'm only going to repeat a little bit of it, but I'd like Dana Kelly to know Srila Prabhupada spoke the same message the very first year of the Ratha-yātrā in New York. The message is a very elevated, you can even say spiritually esoteric message. The mood of Ratha-yātrā is the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, even particularly the gopis of Vrindavan, to bring Kṛṣṇa, who had left Vrindavan, back to Vrindavan. And the occasion of a solar eclipse, it's discussed directly in Srimad Bhagavatam and summarized in this Kṛṣṇa book, what Dana Kelly described, and the purports of our great acharyas also give detail and detail. But the essence, the mood is Kṛṣṇa had left Vrindavan. And it was a devastating experience for the residents of Vrindavan because Kṛṣṇa was their life and soul. What happens when the soul leaves the body? You're dead. And they were only maintaining their lives on the strength of Kṛṣṇa's promise. When he left, he said, I'll come back. Surely I'll come back in a few days. And the few days extended to many more than a few days. But that promise from Kṛṣṇa was maintaining their lives. So Kṛṣṇa went to Dwaraka. And there in Dwaraka, Kṛṣṇa had his Dwaraka Leela, where he married 16,108 queens. And he expanded himself into 16,108 Kṛṣṇas. Can anyone here even imagine something like that? The potency of Kṛṣṇa is inconceivable. But then on the occasion of a solar eclipse, Kṛṣṇa left Dwaraka. Kṛṣṇa left Dwaraka to go to Kurukshetra, where it was the religious practice of the time. When there was a solar eclipse, you go to Kurukshetra and you engage in bathing in the Ganges at Kurukshetra. So Kṛṣṇa went there with his whole entourage and his regal display of elephants and chariots and paraphernalia and ministers and military and the whole Yadu dynasty, army, and all the queens. And everyone. There's a big event. And the residents of Vrindavan, they also went to Kurukshetra and they saw Kṛṣṇa. But they saw Kṛṣṇa in a way that they weren't so happy to see Kṛṣṇa. They saw him in this opulent feature. The Purushottama feature of Aishwarya, of grand opulence. And they wanted to see Kṛṣṇa in a different way, with his peacock feather and garland of lotus flowers. Playing upon his flute in threefold bending form. That's the Kṛṣṇa they wanted to see. And so they placed Kṛṣṇa and Jagannath in his form of Jagannath, Balaram and Subhadra on the chariot to bring them back to Vrindavan. Actually, I'm retelling the story for a reason, besides the fact that Prabhupada told this story on the first day of Ratha-yātrā, the first Ratha-yātrā event in New York City. I mean, multiply the number of people seated here by about 20. And these were Western people that never heard anything about anything. And Prabhupada was giving this very esoteric teaching. The meaning and the purpose of Ratha-yātrā to Western people that didn't know anything about anything. Why? How many of them could understand his message? Very little. But Prabhupada was the giver of the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was this love of the residents of Vrindavan for Kṛṣṇa. He didn't hesitate to give to anyone, everyone, this mood, I'll say it again, the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is the love for Kṛṣṇa that the residents of Vrindavan have for him. Lord Chaitanya wanted to give that. Srila Prabhupada was instructed by his spiritual master to give that, and he gave it. At a public event, Jagannath Ratha-yātrā. And very widely, he wanted this knowledge to be proliferated very broadly, very widely through his Bhaktivedanta purports. The story that you just heard, Donna Kelly summarized, and I, in even a shorter form, summarized. It's in Prabhupada's books. So I'm encouraging all of you, two things. If you don't have Krishna book for your children, or Srimad Bhagavatam for yourself, there's a nice booth over here, says books on yoga and meditation. Make a little journey over there, it's only 20 steps, and pick up for your children Krishna book, and for yourselves Srimad Bhagavatam. Why? Because it's the gift that Lord Chaitanya wanted to give to the world. And he, through his messenger, Srila Prabhupada, gave it to the world. You know how many copies of Srimad Bhagavad Gita have been printed since the beginning of the Hare Krishna movement? It's a big number. Something like 65 million copies. And the number of languages, of course, it was translated from Sanskrit into English, and then the English translation and purport has been translated into nearly 80 languages and increasing every year. It's worldwide. It's bigger than big. It's transcendental. And the teachings are here in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, this gift that Lord Chaitanya wanted to give. And I'm just going to say two more things, and I'm going to pass the microphone on. So one of those things is our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, grew up in a Vaishnav family. He attributes his devotion to Kṛṣṇa to his father, because as a cultured gentleman, his father had the practice of almost daily, Prabhupada said, inviting some sadhu to come to their home. And when the sadhu would come to their home, his father, Gaur Mohan, requested the sadhu, please bless my son, that he should become a nice devotee of Srimati Radharani. Every sadhu, he asked the same blessing. So he became a wonderful devotee of Srimati Radharani, a devotee of Radharani means a devotee of Radha Krishna. And devotee of Radha Krishna means in the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so it was arranged by Krishna that he would meet such a spiritual master as Bhaktisiddhanta and become a great acharya in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. But when he was a little boy, somehow impressions are there from when you're little. Like there's lots of little children here. And they're very happy bouncing around in those bouncing apparatuses over there. But the impression of Lord Jagannath was something that Srila Prabhupada had when he was very small. His father took him by train from Calcutta to Puri one year and attended Ratha-yātrā. And Prabhupada, when he came back on the train, asked his father, "Can we have Ratha-yātrā in Calcutta? Is it okay?" So his father said yes. And he said, "Can I have a cart? And we can next year have Ratha-yātrā for Lord Jagannath in the cart." It's described in these literatures that are back here. So his father went around and found one man that had an old miniature cart. He purchased the cart. He had it renovated and decorated and painted. His mother made decorations of flowers and other paraphernalia for decorating the cart. And Lord Jagannath went on the cart. Small Lord Jagannath. His mother and the ladies of the area made prasadam so that the boys, Prabhupada when he was small, Abhay Charan was his name, Abhay, and his friends, they went around the block with kirtan distributing prasadam of Lord Jagannath. And it became an annual event. Little boy. But little boys grow up, usually. And when Prabhupada grew up, he became an acharya. And he came to America on the order of his spiritual master. And after New York, the very next second temple that was established was in San Francisco. So one devotee, her name is Malati, she went to an import store, Pier 1 import, and she found something that looked like it was from India. It was Jagannath, little carving of Jagannath. And she came and brought the carving of Jagannath to Prabhupada in San Francisco and said, "Swamiji, is this from India?" And immediately Prabhupada paid his obeisances before the little murtis of Jagannath and requested Malati's husband, who had some art ability, "Can you carve tall Lord Jagannath? And we can then have Jagannath Ratha-yātrā." So Shamsundar had never carved deities before, but he learned quickly because Prabhupada asked him to, and he carved Lord Jagannath. Today, those Lord Jagannath deities are being still worshipped in the Berkeley Temple on the West Coast. And another devotee, because we didn't have any money, Prabhupada asked him to build 3 carts. He showed them pictures of the Jagannath Ratha-yātrā cart in Jagannath Puri. But he didn't have any budget. So he was very expert at having people give donations. He used railroad ties to build the Jagannath cart. Donna Kelly asked, "How heavy is this cart?" 3,500 pounds, almost 2 tons. That cart was bigger than 2 tons, for sure, and 3 of them. And Jagannath went to Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. Huge festival, huge event. And Prabhupada was so pleased. You know what? He said, all of our centers all over the world should have Jagannath Ratha-yātrā. London, New York, Paris. And to this day, even in Hong Kong, there's Jagannath Ratha-yātrā. And they distribute Bhagavad Gita in Chinese. and distribute Jagannath Prasad. How did that happen? Because an impression of bhakti was given to him by his father. And looking around, there's lots of mothers and fathers here, and lots of small children of those mothers and fathers. So you have a wonderful opportunity, and you could say even responsibility, to pass on to your children what Srila Prabhupada received from his father. At least the opportunity is there to give Krishna Bhakti to your children. And one of the ways is participating like you're doing, and bringing your children to see Lord Jagannath and take part in the festival and hear why we're doing it. And make a little journey over there to that books on yoga and meditation booth. And for your children, purchase a Krishna book and read Krishna book with your children. Children that hear Krishna book, I know many children, they won't go to sleep at night until they hear a Krishna story. And they hear them again and again. And if their mother or father forget the storyline, they'll tell the storyline. But they know the storyline, almost word for word, because they love it. But they want to hear it with their mother and father. So please, my dear devotees, be kind and devotionally compassionate to your children. Give them this wonderful gift of your association and the sound vibration of Krishna's wonderful pastimes. And for yourselves, go to that books on yoga and meditation booth and place an order for Srimad Bhagavatam. And your life will be changed. And I wanted one more thing, and I'm done. There's a wonderful story of the form of Lord Jagannath that's found in Skanda Purana, Purushottam Mahatmya section of Skanda Purana. In fact, the worship of Lord Jagannath that's being done today in Jagannath Puri comes from that section of the Purana, Skanda Purana. The whole story of the appearance of Lord Jagannath is in detail. So there's not time for all the detail, but very simply, there was a king named Indradyumna who wanted to see the Lord of the universe. He wanted to serve the Lord of the universe, but he also wanted to see the Lord of the universe. The long description is, he heard of this deity of Nila Madhava, who's the form of the Lord of the universe. So he went to Puri with one who had seen the deity to see the Lord of the universe, and he was gone when he went there. Long story. But then an arrangement was made where he could see another form of the Lord of the universe. Long story. Puranas are very long. From some logs that were floating in the sea, and the logs were transcendental logs from Lord Narayana. And when the deity was unfinished, long story, he went inside because the carpenter that was making the deity, he heard the noise stop of the carving. He was told, don't go inside. But when he heard the carving sound stop, he went inside. And when he went inside, he saw these forms. And he thought, oh no, I violated the instruction to not go inside, and now the deity is not finished. Oh, terrible. Narada Muni said, no, not terrible. This is a form of the Lord of the universe, Purushottam, Kṛṣṇa in Dwaraka, and I'll tell you how I know that. So would you like to hear? Those of you in the back that are paying attention, Would you like to hear? Those of you that are not paying attention, please pay attention. Okay. Narada Muni explained, in Dwarka, Purushottam Kṛṣṇa was feeling great separation from the residents of Vrindavan, as the residents of Vrindavan are feeling great separation from Kṛṣṇa. And the residents of Dwarka were wondering, what kind of love is it that the residents of Vrindavan have for Kṛṣṇa that attracts Kṛṣṇa so much? And they were talking like this. And then finally one of them said, Uddhava said, I know who knows. Rohini. Now who's Rohini? Rohini is the mother of Balaram. And Rohini lived during Krishna's childhood pastimes in Vrindavan. And when Krishna left Vrindavan, Rohini also came to Dwarka, or came to Mathura, then Dwarka. So she knew. So they went and got Rohini and asked Rohini, can you describe the love of the residents of Vrindavan for Krishna, and therefore we can understand how much Krishna, why is Krishna so much attracted to Vrindavan? Rohini said, I'll be happy to give you that description, but when Krishna hears, because he's omniscient, when he hears that I'm narrating the pastimes of Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan, Krishna will immediately come, and then I won't be able to continue. So Subhadra, the sister of Krishna and Balaram, she said, I'll guard the door. I'll stand right at the doorway. So if Krishna comes, he won't be able to interrupt your describing Krishna's pastimes with the residents of Vrindavan. So Rohini agreed. Subhadra stood in the doorway, and Rohini started describing Kṛṣṇa kathā, or Braja kathā, Krishna in Vrindavan with his associates. So what happened? Krishna became attracted. And Krishna became attracted, and he was drawn, Krishna on this side, Balaram on that side of Subhadra. And hearing these wonderful pastimes of Vrindavan, he felt ecstasy. And in that ecstasy, his limbs were withdrawn and his eyes became very big, and a big smile. Narada saw and said, oh, such a wonderful form. There should be a deity of this form of you that I'm seeing now here in Dwarka. So the form of Jagannath, to fulfill that request of Narada, was carved for the worship of King Indradumna. And thus, this is the mood, it's esoteric, but it's the mood of Krishna being attracted to the pastimes that he performed with the residents of Vrindavan in Vrindavan, although he was in Dwarka. So the opulence of Jagannath Puri is like the opulence of Dwarka, but the mood is an intensified mood of separation, from Krishna and the residents of Vrindavan. Just as Dana Kelly was describing before the cart procession began. The residents of Vrindavan, headed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, want to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan. Jagannath personifies that mood. So our consciousness is down here, worldly and so forth. But the message of Srimad Bhagavatam and this wonderful Krishna book, I'm doing this on purpose. I'm encouraging you again and again, please take advantage of these literatures. It will, by sound vibration, transport you to a very wonderful gift the gift of the love of the residents of Vrindavan that they have for Kṛṣṇa, just by sound vibration, by hearing, trying to understand, entering into the mood of. And that's the purpose of this Jagannath Ratha-yātrā that's held all over the world. And this is so, my time is up. Thank you for being patient and listening and attending. And pretty soon, there'll be some other activity on the stage and then prasadam.
Thank you, Maharaj. A loud Hari Bol for Maharaj. His grace,